Are you curious about how to get started teaching online and potentially make it your primary source of income? In today's Summit Secrets video, I'm sharing insights from Tim Gascoigne, also known as the Online Teacher Dude. Tim has helped countless people launch successful online teaching careers, whether through companies, marketplaces, or their own independent businesses. If we haven't met yet, I'm Tanya from Nomadic Income, where we explore opportunities and tools that let us live anywhere and earn everywhere. Today, we'll break down some of Tim's best advice from my interview with him during the Fall Nomadic Income Summit. In this video, we'll talk about Tim's journey into online teaching, the 3 paths to success in this field, and the tools and certifications that you'll need to get started, and why online teaching is such a great strategy for digital nomads. Stick around because later in the video, we'll share how you can access Tim's free bootcamp course that will help you get started with online teaching right away. Tim's journey into online teaching began as a way to find more freedom and flexibility in his life. After 7 years of teaching in international schools, he wanted a break and discovered the possibilities of online teaching. Let's hear Tim explain how he got started and what drew him to this new path.
I never expected to, but I was a brick and mortar teacher in Canada, decided to take a 1-year trip to China to teach. That crazy idea turned into 7 years teaching in international schools in China and Thailand. I got a little burnt out and I decided that I would take a year off before applying to the next country school that I was going to go to. And I also kind of had this little back thought that I would find a way to work online. I mean, I'd followed blogs and YouTube channels and I saw how people were doing it, but I just really didn't know how to get started. I tried the blogging thing. It was not successful. I went to seminars. I went to, workshops and things like that, and nothing was really sticking. And then I met someone who was an online English teacher, and the concept wasn't totally new to me, but I didn't know how huge the market was for students who wanted to learn languages online. And primarily, this teacher was teaching Chinese students. And so I got hired with this company. Back then it was called VIP Kid. And I loved it. I mean, it wasn't like I was making lots of money from it, but I was making enough to live very comfortably. And depending on how much I wanted to work, I could really increase that income to be more than what I was pretty much making in the classroom. And then the sort of light bulbs went on, and I really just couldn't believe what was possible with this industry. So, yeah, former teacher turned into a online ESL teacher, basically.
What's inspiring about Tim's story is how online teaching allowed him to start earning quickly while exploring a new lifestyle. It's a reminder that sometimes the opportunities we need are already within reach. We just need to take that first step. For those of you considering online teaching, Tim outlines 3 primary paths: working with a company, listing your services with a marketplace, and teaching independently. And each of those paths has pros and cons, but starting with a company is often the easiest way to get your feet wet. And here is Tim breaking down these 3 options.
Yeah, so I would say that there's like 3 tracks that people kind of go down. You can go down the track of working with a company, right? You can also go down the track of sort of listing your services, let's call them that, or classes, whatever you want to teach, on a marketplace, which is quite different because you have a little bit more freedom to choose your pricing and kind of focus in on a particular niche potentially. But the traffic is there. So the students are looking for teachers there. And then there's the independent route, which, is obviously a little bit more challenging because you're marketing yourself and you're attracting your own students and you're sort of putting all the pieces together that the companies did for you. So I always recommend someone who's getting started to start with a company. I think that's the easiest way, the less intimidating way to get started. It really gets your feet wet. You start seeing a paycheck come every month. And then you can start to sort of think about, well, what is it that I like to teach? where am I really strong at in the online classroom? Do I like teaching kids? Maybe you get hired with a company that's centered around teaching kids, but you don't love that. So you could think about adults. And so, it gives you, lots of experiences to then sort of step into, maybe then going into a marketplace, or going out on your own, going solo, as I call it.
If you're just starting out, Tim recommends joining a company to gain experience and a steady paycheck while building your confidence and skills. From there, you can explore other options like marketplaces and going independent. If you're enjoying this video so far, I would love it if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us share even more tips and strategies for creating location-independent lifestyles. Once you've chosen your path, it is time to set up your online classroom. Tim emphasizes the importance of having the right tools, a professional-looking video background, and the necessary certifications, like a TEFL or a TESOL certificate. These are the essentials for getting hired, especially with companies. Let's hear Tim's practical tips about setting yourself up for success.
Right. So practically speaking, I would join Facebook groups. There's some great ones out there that really give you a lot of information. I would make sure that you've got the proper setup, the online classroom, as I call it, which is not only just what's on the screen, but also what you're using in terms of tech or your background and things like that. A lot of companies like to see, a clean space behind you, or a blank wall, a quiet environment. So consider those things, and just do your research as to where you'd like to apply, and watch videos about those companies, read reviews, and start to narrow down your list. But I would say just take action, and when you've got a list of maybe 4 or 5 companies, just apply. Just start applying, get comfortable with that. Even if it's just to get practice, maybe doing demo lessons for those companies. Even if you don't get hired, it will just make you better and better for when the right company comes along for you. Yeah. So it's difficult because it really depends on your background, your qualifications. I would also sort of back up maybe and say another great thing to do is to get some kind of certification, even if you are let's say a classroom teacher wanting to teach online, and that's not the only type of people that teach online. You could come from any background, any former job. But if you don't have a teaching certificate, getting a TESOL, as we call it, a TESOL, or a TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language, is a really great idea. And there's some pretty affordable options out there that will be, that companies will accept. So most companies, if you're starting in that track, will want some kind of a teaching certificate.
A well-prepared setup not only makes a good impression on potential employers and students, but it also helps you teach effectively from day one. It's all about creating a space that is both professional and functional. And as you gain experience, transitioning to independent teaching can provide more freedom and earning potential. Tim explains about how going independent allows you to set your own rates, choose your niche, and build a sustainable teaching business. Here's his advice for taking the next step.
Yeah, it's a great way for a lot of nomads, digital nomads, to get into that space and just start making money without sort of having this overwhelm, right, of feeling like you've got to set up this business and get social media going and websites and all that kind of stuff. When it fell into my lap, it was just like a gift, because I couldn't believe how easy it was to just, hop on. And I think back then, a 25-minute class, I was paid about $8 or $9, but still, so it was like $18, $20 an hour. I think I worked up to about $25 an hour, and then was able to double that when I went on my own. But it was really exciting to just start seeing that money come in and take the stress off of, I don't want to go back to the classroom. What am I going to do? And you could do it anywhere. It's completely remote, as long as you could be in a quiet place. Yeah. And it is something that, within a few months, you could be up and running. I think I was like determined. It wasn't that I was running out of money, but I was like, I'm going to make this work. So I think I did it from start to finish with that company. I think I was hired within about 3 weeks and teaching within a month. And I had a full schedule almost from the beginning. So, just teaching very part-time, 3 hours a day, 3 to 4 hours a day at the most. Yeah. So it was really great.
What's powerful about Tim's approach is how it encourages teachers to think long term, focusing on creating a business that aligns with their goals and their values. And now, as promised, here's how you can access Tim's free bootcamp course.
So I help people in two different kind of areas, like the company route and also going independent. But you'll get into my world if you join my free course, which is called the Online Teacher Bootcamp course, and it's just really like a video course where I take you through the process, like A to Z, of getting hired with a company, right down to what headset to get, which companies that I recommend, which TESOL certificate to get. Like, I try to sort of just get rid of all the noise of and confusion of what is out there. Because by the way, that's another thing that I didn't mention, is just the overwhelm is crippling for people to get started. And I'm not just talking about online teaching, it's any kind of online work. Yeah, the overwhelm can be crippling. So I try to get rid of that and just pare it down to the simplest steps. And so, yeah, you can go to onlineteacherdo.com/free course.
This course takes you step by step through the process of getting hired by an online teaching company, how to choose the right certification, and how to set up your classroom. You can find the link in the description below. What's your biggest question about starting an online teaching career? Drop your comments below. I would love to hear from you. And be sure to watch the next video in our Summit Secret series, where we will share more tips from the Fall Nomadic Income Summit about how you can create a location-independent lifestyle and get started traveling sooner.